On January 17, 2026, Tehran's illusion of security was shattered. For years, the city had stood as a symbol of the regime's strength, its skyline glittering with the confidence of a government that believed itself untouchable. But in a single night, that sense of invulnerability was obliterated, replaced by fear and uncertainty that rippled through every street and household. In the dead of night, a fortified command bunker in a secure district was obliterated in a blinding flash, sending shockwaves through the city. The explosion was so powerful that windows shattered miles away, and the ground trembled beneath the feet of Tehran's residents. Sirens wailed as emergency crews rushed to the scene. But the devastation was already complete. This was no ordinary attack. It was a precise, technologically advanced strike that pierced the regime's most protected core. The weapon used was unlike anything seen before in the region, bypassing layers of electronic countermeasures and physical barriers. It was a demonstration of overwhelming force and intelligence, executed with chilling accuracy. The IRGC's leadership, long convinced of their invincibility behind layers of defenses, was proven fatally wrong. The attack exposed not just a physical vulnerability, but a psychological one, the realization that their enemies could reach them at the very heart of their power. The message was clear: nowhere is safe. The regime's most secure facilities, once thought impenetrable, had been reduced to rubble in seconds. The psychological impact on both the leadership and the population was immediate and profound. State media scrambled to cover up the truth, but the scale of destruction and silence from top officials spoke volumes. Rumors spread rapidly on social media as citizens shared images and videos of the devastation, defying government attempts at censorship. The regime's grip on information was slipping, and panic began to set in. This was a meticulously planned operation, exposing the regime's vulnerability at its very heart. Intelligence agencies around the world watched in awe, recognizing the sophistication and planning that had gone into the strike. For Iran's adversaries, it was a signal that the balance of power had shifted. For Supreme Leader Khamenei, already weakened by protests and recent wars, the strike was a catastrophic blow. His authority, once absolute, now appeared fragile. The look of concern on his face during a hastily arranged public appearance spoke volumes to the Iranian people and the world. The men killed were not just soldiers, they were the architects of Iran's regional ambitions and the enforcers of its will. Their loss left a vacuum at the highest levels of military planning, throwing the regime's future strategies into chaos and uncertainty. Their sudden removal has plunged the regime into its deepest crisis in decades. Political infighting erupted behind closed doors as rival factions scrambled to fill the power vacuum. On the streets, anxiety and speculation grew, with many fearing what might come next. The sense of safety for Iran's elite is gone. Once able to move freely and confidently, they now travel under heavy guard, their movements shrouded in secrecy. The city's most exclusive neighborhoods have become fortresses as fear replaces the old certainties of privilege and power. The regime may never fully recover from this night. The attack has left scars, both physical and psychological, that will shape Iran's future for years to come. In the darkness that followed, Tehran was no longer just a capital. It was a city under siege, its fate uncertain, its people bracing for whatever might come next. To grasp the impact of the strike, you must understand the Quds force. They are not just soldiers, they are Iran's primary tool for projecting power across the Middle East. The Quds force blends elite special operations with covert intelligence, answering only to the supreme leader. They build and direct proxy militias like Hezbollah, the Houthis, and others, waging war and extending Iran's reach without direct confrontation. Their commanders are diplomats, spy masters, and strategists, operating in secrecy and wielding immense influence. The Quds force is the regime's true center of gravity. Losing its core leadership is not just a military setback, it's a spiritual and ideological wound. The men killed in the strike were the irreplaceable architects of Iran's regional power. Veterans of decades of conflict, they possessed unmatched experience and personal networks that held Iran's proxy empire together. Their authority came from years of shared struggle and trust with militia leaders across the region. These relationships cannot be replaced overnight. The psychological shock of their loss shattered the illusion of security for the entire IRGC high command. The next generation lacks the experience and connections to maintain the intricate web of alliances. The proxy network now faces confusion and fragmentation. The the pillars of Iran's regional empire have been turned to dust. The regime's strategic brain trust is gone. The strike was a technological masterpiece, bypassing Iran's vaunted air defenses without detection, no missiles or bombers, just a ghostly invisible platform delivering a bunker-busting weapon with surgical precision. The munition penetrated deep underground, annihilating the command center and leaving no survivors. Years of investment in Russian and domestic air defense systems proved useless. The attack exposed Iran's shield as a paper tiger against top-tier adversaries. Tehran's most protected assets are now vulnerable. The regime's multi-billion-dollar defenses have been rendered obsolete. Every strategic decision from now on will be haunted by this new reality. Nowhere is truly safe. The true devastation of this event lies not just in the physical destruction, but in the catastrophic intelligence failure that made such a precise strike possible. The world watched in shock as the aftermath revealed a level of access and knowledge that could only have come from deep within the regime's most secure circles. The attackers didn't just get lucky, they knew the exact location, the precise timing, and even the identities of those attending the Quds force meeting. This was information guarded by only the most trusted insiders, protected by layers of security and secrecy. Yet somehow, it was delivered straight into enemy hands. All evidence points to a deep mole embedded within the regime's inner circle. Someone with access to the highest levels of classified intelligence. The presence of such a traitor is a nightmare scenario for any government, but especially for one that prides itself on absolute control. Now, the leadership is forced to confront a terrifying reality. Their most sensitive secrets are compromised, and their enemies are already operating from within. The sense of invulnerability has been shattered, replaced by fear and suspicion at every level. Trust, once the glue that held the regime together, has evaporated overnight. Every colleague, every subordinate, every advisor is now a potential suspect. Paranoia spreads like wildfire, infecting even the closest relationships. The regime's entire security apparatus, once thought impenetrable, is now exposed and vulnerable. Their adversaries seem to see everything, turning the tools of surveillance and control against their creators. In response, the hunt for the mole will be ruthless. Waves of brutal purges, interrogations, and arrests are inevitable. No one is safe from suspicion, and the regime's own security forces will turn inward, searching for traitors among their ranks. The strike has planted a seed of doubt that will fester and grow, corroding the regime from within. Even those who are innocent will find themselves under scrutiny, their loyalty questioned at every turn. The Islamic Republic's power structure is now at war with itself, its foundations shaken by mistrust and fear. The true cost of this intelligence failure may only be revealed in the chaos and infighting that is yet to come. Paranoia now rules Tehran's elite. The knowledge of an insider betrayal has shattered trust among IRGC leaders. Suspicion and fear trigger internal purges, as commanders turn on each other in desperate witch hunts. Arrests and interrogations will be driven by rivalry and fear, not evidence. The regime's security apparatus is paralyzed, unable to act decisively. With protests raging and the economy collapsing, this internal chaos is a self-inflicted wound. The attackers have achieved more than killing leaders. They've injected a virus of distrust that weakens the regime from within. The Palace of Mirrors has become a prison of fear. The loss of Quds force leadership sends shockwaves through Iran's proxy network. Proxies like Hezbollah and the Houthis relied on direct guidance and personal relationships with the slain commanders. Their absence creates a power vacuum and threatens to fragment the axis of resistance. New handlers lack the trust and authority to maintain cohesion. Proxies may pursue their own agendas, leading to infighting and chaos. The financial and logistical pipelines sustaining these groups are at risk. Iran's ability to project power is crumbling. The strike severed the arteries of Iran's proxy empire. Supreme Leader Khamenei faces a dire dilemma: retaliate and risk ruin, or show restraint and appear weak. Hardliners demand revenge, but Iran's military is no match for its adversaries. A major war would be suicidal, given the country's internal unrest and economic crisis. Limited missile strikes or proxy attacks seem inadequate and risky. The Quds forces' disarray makes coordinated retaliation unlikely. Any response risks further escalation or humiliation. Khamenei is trapped, forced to choose between disastrous war and humiliating inaction. This paralysis is exactly what the attackers intended. The regime's options are all bad, and each could hasten its downfall. The strategic straitjacket is tightening. The Tehran strike has permanently altered the Middle East's balance of power. In a single shattering moment, the region's old certainties have been swept away. The world watched as the heart of Iran's military might was exposed, sending shockwaves through capitals from Riyadh to Tel Aviv, and far beyond. The myth of IRGC invincibility is gone, replaced by a reality of vulnerability and chaos. Once seen as untouchable, the IRGC now faces a crisis of confidence, both within its ranks and among its allies. The streets of Iran, once filled with displays of power, now echo with uncertainty and fear. Iran's leaders must now operate knowing they are exposed, even in their most secure bunkers. The sense of safety that once surrounded the regime's inner circle has been shattered. Every meeting, every decision, is now shadowed by the knowledge that nowhere is truly safe. The regime will likely retreat into caution, abandoning bold regional ambitions. The dreams of expanding influence across the Middle East may be set aside, replaced by a desperate focus on survival and internal control. Internal purges and proxy fragmentation will accelerate, fueling instability across the region. Factions that once worked together may now turn on each other, as trust erodes and fear takes hold. The ripple effects will be felt from Lebanon to Iraq, as Iran's proxies scramble to adapt. Iran's tools of influence are breaking apart. Propaganda loses its power, surveillance falters, and the regime's grip on its people weakens. The symbols of authority are now reminders of a fractured state. Khamenei faces enemies within and without, his regime weaker and more isolated than ever. The supreme leader must now contend with growing dissent at home and emboldened adversaries abroad as the foundations of his rule tremble. The strike did not just destroy a bunker. It may have triggered the beginning of the end for the Islamic Republic. The physical damage is immense, but the psychological blow is even greater, casting doubt on the regime's future. The era of unchecked Iranian power projection is over. Borders that once seemed open to Iranian influence are now closing, as neighbors reconsider their alliances and strategies. The region now enters a period of dangerous unpredictability. With old power structures collapsing and new threats emerging, the Middle East stands on the edge of a new and uncertain era, one where every move could reshape the future.